Imagine a place where the world stretches out in an unbroken panorama of white and blue, a vast expanse so immense it dwarfs human comprehension. This isn't a fantasy world, it's the reality of Canada's Arctic archipelago, a realm of staggering scale and raw, untamed beauty. Covering an area larger than many European countries combined, these islands, from the largest like Baffin and Ellesmere to the countless smaller unnamed specks, represent one of Earth's last true wilderness regions. So why does anyone live in Canada's Arctic, and what do they do with it? To answer that question, we need to first look at the extreme geography that dominates Canada's Arctic. Thanks to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. To put it bluntly, the sheer size of Canada's Arctic islands alone are difficult to grasp. Picture this. If we strung them all together, these islands could form a land bridge connecting Canada to the United Kingdom. Yet they remain largely uninhabited by humans, their landscapes sculpted by forces active since the last ice age. The archipelago is fundamentally a continuation of the Canadian Shield and the Inuitian Mountains, a geologic story told in ancient, resilient rock. From the rolling, tundra-covered lowlands of Victoria Island to the towering, glaciated peaks of Axel Heiberg and Ellesmere, the diversity is astounding. Now, you might expect a monolithic icy wasteland, but here's where it gets really interesting. The variety of landforms tells a dramatic tale of uplift, erosion, and glacial carving. Fjords, some rivaling Norway's in their majesty, slice deep into coastlines, remnants of colossal glaciers that once scoured the land. Of course, the climate, as one might expect, is extreme, defined by its relentless cold and dramatic light cycles. Winter brings the polar night, a period where the sun dips below the horizon for weeks, even months, plunging the northernmost islands into continuous twilight or complete darkness. Imagine living under the silent glow of the stars and the ethereal dance of the aurora borealis as your only sources of natural light. But this isn't just a challenge. It's a profound experience that shapes everything. Conversely, summer ushers in the midnight sun, where the sun never truly sets, circling the sky for equally long periods. This relentless daylight, while brief, supercharges the fragile ecosystem, igniting a flurry of life. Now, of course, the dominant feature is ice. From vast, ancient ice caps like the Agassiz ice cap on Ellesmere Island, which are relics from the last ice age, to the seasonal sea ice that connects and isolates the communities, ice is the architect of this landscape. It grinds mountains, protects shorelines, and provides crucial hunting platforms for polar bears and seals. Yet even within this icy dominion, there's hidden life here. Beneath the seemingly barren surface lies permafrost, permanently frozen ground that can extend hundreds of meters deep. When the brief summer thaws the top layer, a vibrant, if miniature, ecosystem explodes into life. Hardy lichens, mosses, grasses, and vibrant Arctic wildflowers carpet the tundra, transforming monochrome into a surprising palette of greens, purples, and yellows. The feeling of being in this environment is unlike anywhere else on Earth. It's an overwhelming sense of isolation, grandeur, and profound quiet. The air is crisp, often bone-chillingly cold, and also incredibly clean, offering visibility for hundreds of kilometers. The vast horizons stretch endlessly, broken only by the occasional distant iceberg or the fleeting shadow of a passing bird. It's a place that humbles you, reminding you of the planet's raw power and indifference to human endeavors. But this next part completely changed how I think about everything. This is not a dead landscape. Canada's Arctic actually teems with specialized life. Muskoxen huddling against the wind, Arctic foxes darting across the snow, and narwhals traversing icy waters, their unicorn-like tusks breaking the surface. Each creature is a testament to the astonishing adaptability required to thrive here. The geology of the islands also holds secrets vital to global understanding. Ancient fossils embedded in the sedimentary rocks tell stories of warmer, prehistoric Earths, hinting at dramatic climate shifts long before human influence. The geological formations also hint at vast, untapped mineral and energy resources, making these remote lands increasingly significant. But these resources are locked beneath an unforgiving surface, accessible only at great cost and with profound respect for the delicate environment. The dramatic landforms, from uplifted mountain ranges to flat sedimentary plains, reveal chapters of Earth's history that are still being written. often very slowly, by the unending march of geological time and the grinding power of ice. As you stand on a windswept ridge overlooking a fjord choked with icebergs, or feel the endless sun on your face during a summer day, it's impossible not to be moved by the sheer magnificence of Canada's Arctic islands. They're a testament to the planet's enduring wildness, a place where nature, not humans, reigns supreme, offering both immense beauty and formidable challenges. This isn't just a frozen expanse, it's a living, breathing, and constantly evolving frontier. And what humans have done with this formidable landscape, and how they came to call it home, is an equally amazing story. That story of human history in such a formidable landscape is one of adaptation, technology, and conflict. And for those of us who are fascinated by that history, especially the incredible evolution of the 20th and 21st century military technology, let's talk about today's sponsor. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, and is available now for free on PC, consoles, and mobile devices. As a military history fan, the scale is incredible. You get over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships from 10 nations, spanning from the 1920s to today. You're immersed in intense combat with incredibly detailed vehicles, realistic graphics, and authentic sound. What sets it apart though is the realism. There are no health bars here. War Thunder has a sophisticated damage model where every component, engine, crew, fuel, tanks, can be individually disabled. When a vehicle is hit, this impressive X-ray view shows you exactly what the shell did, making every single shot count. There's a mode for everyone, from fast-paced arcade to ultra-real simulator. I personally love the balance of realistic mode. Plus, there's an all-new mobile version for iOS and Android, so you can take the battlefield anywhere. With over 95 million players, there's simply no better game for fans of military history. So play War Thunder for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or mobile devices now by using my links in the pinned comment or video description. New and returning players on PC and consoles that haven't played in the last 6 months will get a massive bonus pack. It includes multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 silver lions, and 7 days of premium account. This is only available for a limited time, so be quick. All of this is an amazing way to experience that frantic, comparatively recent dash of military evolution. But long before that modern era, the story of the Arctic was one of pure human survival, written on a completely different timeline. The landscape described in Canada's Arctic is an immense, almost alien landscape, a place that seems to defy human settlement, and yet, for thousands of years, humans have not only survived in Canada's Arctic archipelago, they've thrived. In fact, the story of this region is a tale written on 2 vastly different timelines: the millennia-long saga of indigenous peoples who mastered this environment, and then the frantic, comparatively recent dash by outsiders to explore and claim it. Long before Europeans ever dreamed of a Northwest Passage, the first people arrived. Around 4,500 years ago, small bands of hunters known to archaeologists as Paleo-Eskimos crossed the Bering Strait and migrated across the Arctic. These were the pioneers, people of the Arctic small tool tradition, who brought with them a sophisticated toolkit of tiny, razor-sharp flint blades. They lived in small, mobile groups, hunting muskox and caribou. Over centuries, these early cultures evolved. The Dorset people, who emerged around 500 BCE, were particularly impactful. They were masters of sea ice hunting, patiently waiting for hours at seal-breathing holes in the dead of winter. But they were also artists of incredible skill, carving exquisite miniature figures of animals from walrus ivory and bone. For over a millennium, their culture was perfectly attuned to the Arctic. But here's where it gets really interesting. Around the year 1000, a new people with revolutionary technology arrived from the west. The Thule, direct ancestors of today's Inuit, brought with them dog sleds for long-distance travel, large-skin boats called umiaks for whaling, and the powerful bow and arrow. The Dorset, with their more specialized way of life, seemingly vanished, either assimilated or outcompeted, one of the great mysteries of Arctic history. The Thule expansion was so successful that they rapidly settled the entire North American Arctic, their culture becoming the foundation of modern Inuit society. For centuries, the Inuit were the undisputed sovereigns of this land, but in the 16th century, a new kind of human arrived, driven by a completely different ambition: profit. European explorers, beginning with Martin Frobisher in the 1570s, were convinced that these icy channels held the secret to a lucrative shortcut to Asia, the fabled Northwest Passage. Frobisher's expedition was a harbinger of what was to come, a mix of incredible bravery, profound cultural misunderstanding, and dashed hopes. He returned to England not with spices, but with tons of worthless fool's gold, and 3 Inuit captives who soon died of European diseases. The quest fell dormant for a time, but it ignited again in the 1800s, becoming a matter of intense national pride for the British Empire. The ultimate prize was fame, glory, and the completion of the world map. This era culminated in one of the most infamous disasters in polar history, the 1845 expedition of Sir John Franklin. With two state-of-the-art Royal Navy ships, HMS Erebus and HMS Terror, and 129 men, Franklin sailed into the archipelago, filled with confidence, and then he vanished. This next part completely changed how the world saw the Arctic. The disappearance of the Franklin expedition triggered one of the largest rescue operations in history. For decades, dozens of ships crisscrossed the islands searching for clues. While they failed to save Franklin's men, whose grim fate of starvation and lead poisoning was eventually pieced together from Inuit testimony and archaeological finds, these search parties inadvertently did what Franklin could not. They mapped vast swaths of the archipelago, their discoveries filling the blank spaces on the globe and solidifying Britain's claim to the region through the right of discovery. As the 1800s closed, a newly confederated Canada was coming into its own. In 1880, Great Britain formally transferred its claim over the Arctic islands to the Young Dominion. It was a massive gift of territory, accepted with little fanfare, as few could imagine what value this frozen expanse could possibly hold. Canada drew the lines on its map and, for a time, did little else, assuming its sovereignty was secure. But that assumption was about to be challenged. From 1898 to 1902, Norwegian explorer Otto Sverdrup conducted one of the most successful polar expeditions ever, meticulously mapping a huge portion of the northern archipelago. He claimed the entire territory, the future Ellesmere, Axel Heiberg, and Amund Ringnes Islands, for Norway. Suddenly, Canada had a rival. Spurred into action, Ottawa began a determined campaign to assert its control, sending the famed Captain Joseph Elsier Bernier on voyages to plant flags, conduct patrols with the Northwest Mounted Police, and establish a permanent Canadian presence. After decades of diplomatic negotiation, Norway finally relinquished its claim in 1930, cementing Canadian sovereignty. And so, the lines on the map had been finalized, won through ancient migration, tragic exploration, and modern geopolitics. The question of who owned the islands was settled, but a new set of questions was just beginning to emerge. What would Canada do with this immense territory? Who lives there today? And what does its future hold in a rapidly changing world? Today, Canada's Arctic archipelago is a dynamic and critical frontier, a region of profound contrasts where ancient traditions intersect with 21st century challenges. It's a place inhabited by resilient communities, watched over by a modern military, and studied intensely by scientists, all while sitting on a powder keg of strategic value and environmental change. So what does Canada actually do with it? First and foremost, the Arctic is a homeland. The vast empty spaces on the map are deceiving. This is Inuit Nunavut, the homeland of the Inuit. Today, the region's permanent population lives in a network of about 24 communities, from Iqaluit, the bustling capital of Nunavut, to Grise Fiord, the northernmost civilian settlement in North America. These are modern towns with schools, hospitals, and high-speed internet, yet they remain deeply connected to the land. The traditional knowledge of elders, the practice of hunting seal and caribou, and the Inuktitut language are the bedrock of a culture that has adapted to a changing world, without losing its identity. All told, there's somewhere around 23,000 people living in Canada's Arctic archipelago, and this blend of old and new is most powerfully expressed in the territory of Nunavut, created in 1999, which includes a vast mainland area as well. Today, it stands as one of the largest indigenous land claim settlements in history, a vast territory by and for the Inuit, giving them direct control over their destiny. Including the mainland, Nunavut has about 42,000 people. Of course, alongside the Inuit are the transient residents, the scientists, soldiers, and administrators who cycle through. At places like the Canadian Armed Forces Station Alert on the northern tip of Ellesmere Island, the most northerly continuously inhabited place on Earth, military personnel monitor communications and assert a Canadian presence. In remote research labs, scientists from around the world gather data on ice cores and atmospheric conditions, treating the Arctic as a vital, early warning system for the entire planet. But here's where it gets really interesting. The most effective guardians of Canadian sovereignty are the Canadian Rangers. These local, predominantly Inuit reservists patrol the vast wilderness on snowmobiles, combining traditional survival skills with modern military duties, acting as Canada's eyes and ears on the ground. So why is this remote, sparsely populated region so vitally important to Canada and the world? The answer lies in two words: resources and routes. Geologically, the archipelago is believed to hold immense, untapped reserves of oil, natural gas, diamonds, gold, and other critical minerals. For decades, this potential wealth remained locked away beneath impenetrable ice and permafrost, a treasure chest with no keep. The game changer came from an unexpected and alarming source: the planet itself. As the world warms, the Arctic is warming at more than twice the global average. The multi-year sea ice that once choked the channels of the Northwest Passage is disappearing at a stunning rate. This melting is unlocking the second part of the region's value: a viable shipping route. A navigable Northwest Passage could cut thousands of miles off the journey between Europe and Asia, rerouting global trade and bringing unprecedented traffic to these waters. This presents a massive opportunity, but also a direct challenge to Canadian sovereignty. Canada claims the passage as its internal waters, giving it the right to regulate all traffic. The United States and other maritime countries, however, argue it's an international strait, open to all. This disagreement remains one of the most significant diplomatic hurdles of the region. But here's where things really heat up. The very climate change that could unlock immense wealth and strategic advantage is simultaneously threatening the foundations of Arctic life. For the Inuit, the loss of reliable sea ice disrupts traditional hunting routes that have been used for generations. Melting permafrost buckles roads, destabilizes buildings, and threatens the integrity of entire communities. Coastal erosion, no longer held in check by a protective barrier of sea ice, is washing villages away. This is the central, agonizing paradox of the modern Arctic. The same force that presents economic opportunity is creating an environmental and cultural crisis. For the people who live there, this isn't a future scenario. It's a present-day reality that demands difficult choices about balancing development with preservation. The decisions made in the coming years about whether to drill for oil, how to manage internal shipping, and how to support communities adapting to a new environment will define Canada's Arctic North. So Canada's Arctic islands are no longer a remote and frozen footnote in geography. They're really a bellwether for the planet. The future of the Arctic will not only determine the fate of Canada, but it will also send ripples across the entire globe. This week, I'm taking a quick break from my European travels to show you guys that Portland, my hometown, is not burning to the ground. It's actually one of the most livable cities in the United States. So if you want to see what Portland looks like in 2025, go check out my travel channel. Thanks to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Play now by using my links in the pinned comment or video description. New and returning players on PC and consoles that haven't played in the last 6 months will get a massive bonus pack with multiple premium vehicles. The exclusive vehicle decorator, Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days premium account. But this is only available for a limited time, so don't delay. I hope you enjoyed learning all about Canada's Arctic Islands. If you did, be sure to check out this video all about Canada's empty belt. Thanks for watching. See you next time.